Welcome to Who Hollow. I mainly craft here. So today I'm going to be putting together this Toothless that I probably started sometime last year. I don't know when, but I've been meaning to finish it. It's actually a gift for my cousin. She really likes Toothless, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. So usually what I do is I have all the pieces made and then I put together whatever I'm making. But today I still need to make his fin, the fin that Hiccup had made for Toothless. And it needs to be different than what his skin would be made out of, so it can't be wool. So I decided to crochet it. That way it was kind of like a homemade type of look. So that's what I'm doing right now. Now, I don't really crochet that much right now. I used to actually crochet a lot. When I was about 13 or 14, I had started learning to crochet. It was between knitting or crocheting, which what I've heard is whichever one you choose, the other one will be more difficult later. So I still haven't really learned how to knit very well. But anyhow, I learned how to crochet when I was younger because I wanted to make stuffed animals and stuff like that. But I don't really do it that much anymore, just on occasion. Something I've noticed with making projects is that when I have to make something that's smaller, I have a more difficult time getting the details right. So with this fin, it was kind of an odd shape, and because it's a smaller fin than if I was making something like the size of my hand, it's kind of harder to make it look accurate, at least in my situation, or with my experience. I probably should have used like more thinner yarn, then maybe I could have achieved it better. I've seen this too, because right now I'm doing some paper mache projects, and I'm doing something that's pretty large, and I'm doing something that's pretty small. And the smaller thing that I'm making, I've had a harder time working with it. But that's for another day, of course. So that's what the fin looks like so far, but I need to get rid of some of those threads. So I did that, and then I had to go through different methods of how to attach the fin. I tried to see if I could needle felt it, which could have worked maybe if I actually used wool, but I didn't. It's acrylic yarn. So I opted for super glue. However, I don't know why I didn't just try to sew it onto the tail. I think that's possible. So I attached the fin to the tail, and now I'm going to be adding all of his different details to Toothless's body. Starting with these ear-like horns. I think that they might be ears, I'm not quite sure. Whenever I do projects like this, I do like to make all the different parts and then lay them out and make sure that they're separated so I know which part is for which. I don't always usually have to do so many different parts to add to whatever I'm making, but Toothless seemed to have quite a bit of details, so he has many different parts that I have to add over this video. Originally, I was thinking to try to make this Toothless modeled after the Funko Pop version of Toothless, which is pretty cute and very simplistic looking, but even that has a bit of detail into it. So after looking at pictures of Toothless from the movie, I realized that I really couldn't get rid of too many details because it just didn't seem right not adding them into him. So this project, like many others, turned into a more in-depth project. There's even details that you don't always actually see because they blend into the rest of his body so easily. But when you actually turn him to the side and stuff like that, you actually see some of these spikes more better. Speaking of dragons, what I should make is Spyro. That would be pretty interesting to make. But I don't know when I'll do that, of course. Now take a look at those spikes from the side. It's details that you may not always see, but definitely worth adding. A couple weeks ago I was working on him and his face looked really thin, so I added more like cheeks to him, which I thought looked more cuter. I also thought because he tends to stick out his tongue, it would be cute to show his tongue. And it also reminded me of making like Ochi from Pikmin 4. And that's about it for his face details, so now I just have to add the paws and the back legs. And after adding those parts of his body, now it's time to add his tail and start adding his accessories. So I had a choice to make when I was working on him. Do I add other accessories to him, like his harness, or do I leave him alone? I thought about just leaving him alone, but then I was like, well, I have his tail fin added, and that's just not really going to make any sense. So I knew I needed to add his harness details. So something you'll notice probably is I'm using a lot of super glue in this video, but for especially these leather pieces, it doesn't really work very well. I do eventually get it to work, but I don't know what adhesive is better to use for leather, so I mean, if anyone else knows, please let me know in the comments what I should have used, because it would be good to know in the future. Because it was quite a bit of a struggle making sure that this stuck, and I was also trying to make sure my hands didn't stick to it. I know there's other things maybe I should have done, but I didn't, so it is what it is. So now that the harness around his waist is done, I am just going to be adding the pieces on his tail that are supposed to attach to that harness, and then we'll be about ready for the reveal. Oh, I guess I may have forgotten that I have to add the wings first, and then we'll be ready for the reveal. Because really, what's a dragon without wings, right? Okay, let's see what the reveal looks like. So, as you can see, I did add some like white pupils to his eyes because Felt like he was missing something. And then I added some rings to his arms because he is supposed to have some sort of metal around him. And of course I couldn't get it to be completely accurate. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I probably could have used wire. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope that you liked it and found it enjoyable. See you next time.